Hello F1 fans! Welcome back to the F1 Masters podcast brought to you by AUBG Daily. As usual, you're with me, Vasco, David and Harry. And after the summer break, we're back, and in this episode we'll recap everything that happened during the summer of 2025 in F1 and discuss the most interesting races and events. And we have a lot to catch up on, so I think we can start with a team recap, and starting from the first team that is in the constructors, McLaren. They're going to win the championship. I think after the first 3-4 races it has been obvious, but the most interesting thing for me is the dynamic in that team, because it seems obvious as of now that Piastri and Norris, they're the title favorites and they're going to battle for that first place. But we've seen some team orders. We also have seen some great performances by both of them. We've seen a bit of bad luck for Lando recently. But tell me guys, what do you think of McLaren season so far, and who do you think is going to win the championship as it stands now?
I think McLaren have not really handled it the best, and I don't think the drivers have handled it great either. I think the drivers should stand up for themselves a little bit more. Like in Monza, I thought that Oscar Piastri absolutely did not need to give Lando Norris back the position. Bad pit stops are a part of racing. But McLaren, they think like they are the holy grail of the F1 teams, and they do everything the right way, which not everything in sports is fair. So I would hope that they would learn to live with those expectations as well. And I would hope that they let them race, especially after they wrap up the constructors, because then there's really no point in any team orders at that point. And they could wrap it up as soon as this weekend in Baku. So I would hope it happens like that. As for world champion, I think Oscar Piastri, even though Lando has, I think, improved throughout the season, Oscar is generally more consistent with his pace and has not really dropped too many points to Lando Norris due to mistakes of his own. So I would expect Oscar Piastri to continue this form. And yeah, but I'm excited either way to have a new champion, that's for sure.
Definitely. I was getting tired of the Max Verstappen domination. I'm sorry, but I have to say it. I also believe that Oscar will win it. He has a 30-point lead right now, so I think he's gonna probably manage. And I remember like the crisis moment maybe for McLaren this year was Canada and how they crashed into each other. I think like it was more Lando's fault obviously, but that was like a really bad moment for them. Otherwise, pretty much domination, almost like except for Max's glimpses of his genius, and we're gonna talk about him later as well.
So who do you think is winning it all? Piastri?
Piastri, yeah.
I also think that Piastri is winning the championship, despite 30 points are actually nothing that special with the races left remaining. But I think that Oscar has been much more consistent, and that is why he deserves the championship. Can we move to the team?
The team is Ferrari, and all the Ferrari hype absolutely down the drain as always. But we're used to that at this point. But Ferrari still second place in the constructors. Obviously, they're not winning it, but they're not behind Mercedes or Red Bull, which is some sort of a positive for them. I think Charles Leclerc, once again, has been excellent this year, and I don't think anyone's too surprised that he's beating Lewis Hamilton, especially Lewis in his first season. But I will say that Lewis, although he's been a little underwhelming, obviously, for a 7-time world champion, but I didn't have like incredibly high expectations for him in terms of being on pace with Leclerc, although in recent races he was a little off form, that is for sure. But the difference maker and why they're second in the championship is because they have two consistent drivers scoring points, which is not something that Mercedes or Red Bull have had throughout the season. So I think there are still positives to look at for Ferrari, although they're well and truly off of McLaren's pace. They did get a pole in Hungary. No wins yet, unfortunately, but yeah, their consistency in racking up points at least has allowed them to sit in second place at the moment.
They haven't even been close to a win this season, and that is the thing that is concerning me about Ferrari, because we know the talent of Leclerc. We don't even need to discuss the talent of Hamilton, but for me, Hamilton has been underwhelming this season, and the whole Ferrari team has been underwhelming, and it seems like people in that team have gotten used to it, and right now they're like, oh, but at least we're second. But this is Ferrari. when you're Ferrari, you should always fight for wins, you should always fight for poles, you should always fight for podiums. And for me, especially for Lewis, it has been disappointing campaign, and I don't know how they're going to turn it around in 26. But for now, I think that Ferrari, they're just having another really, really disappointing seasons, especially for their fans, because during the tests before the season, things were looking better. It was not like they're going to win the championship, but they're so far away from McLaren that, and from Verstappen as well, that it has been, as I would repeat myself, but disappointment, I think, best describes everything that is happening in Ferrari.
I actually predicted them to win the Constructors' Championship. I reminded myself of that. David and I were watching the episode with our predictions today, and I'm feeling horrible about it because I was overhyping Ferrari. I actually believed in them, and now they're disappointing not only Ferrari fans, but me as well.
Let's move on to more disappointing teams, and that is Mercedes as well. Pretty much everyone in the top teams is disappointing apart from McLaren because they've absolutely destroyed everyone. Mercedes have had some good moments. Obviously, Canada, the big one where George Russell got a win, his only win of the season so far. But yeah, what are your thoughts on... I guess there's a lot of things to discuss with Mercedes. Obviously, they pursued Max Verstappen. They did not get him in the end. But George Russell still does not have a contract for next year. And Kimi Antonelli, although he had that incredible podium in Canada, outside of that, extremely bad results and inconsistent in terms of racecraft and qualifying. What are your thoughts on Mercedes this season so far? And is it something that they can be proud of, or is it more on the disappointing side?
Well, the car hasn't been the best, hasn't been the worst. I think for Russell, he's Mr. Consistent. He's constantly there, like at least top 5. He has grabbed a couple of podiums. He also grabbed the win in Canada. So I think for Russell, the season has been great. And I hope that he'll stay in Mercedes because I think they need him more than he needs Mercedes at the moment. And for Kimi, I expected big things. But at the same time, I expected him to have some troubles adjusting and getting used to the car, getting used to F1 as he's so young. But actually, I didn't expect the drop-off that we saw in the past few races, and especially the things that he did with Leclerc and with Verstappen, both crashes. I think they were pretty bad. And I'm sure that he's a great talent. He's going to turn that around. But for now, it is not looking great for him as well.
Yeah, the interesting thing is that he managed to perform better at the beginning of the season and then gradually became worse, which should have been the other way around. So I think 26 is the important year for him because if he doesn't deliver, he may even get dropped. I don't know. I mean, I know that Toto Wolff believes in him, but it's critical now.
It's still a rookie at the end of the day. Like, we can't expect him to know exactly how to act in every single situation. But yeah, definitely still a learning process for Kimi Antonelli. Moving on to the fourth team from the big four, I guess, and that is Red Bull. Obviously, we had the driver swap at the beginning of the season with Tsunoda and Lawson. And yeah, Red Bull, car-wise, I actually think that they've done well with the car. Max Verstappen has gotten 3 wins now, very impressive drives from him. Although Yuki Tsunoda has never really been comfortable in that car and is currently 19th in the driver standings, only ahead of Franco Colapinto and Jack Doohan. So what do we think about Red Bull? Are they good? Are they bad? Obviously very important. They managed to solidify Max Verstappen for next year. But yeah, if they want to fight the other big teams, they'll still need a second car. And from what I've read over this week, actually, is that Isaac Hadjar is favored to get that seat. So what are your thoughts on the future, I guess, of Red Bull and how their season is panning out?
Well, first things first, 9 points from the other 2 drivers that are not called Max Verstappen is horrendous. This is one of the worst things that I've seen in this sport. And Verstappen, he's been on point the whole season. Some pretty good qualifying sessions, some pretty good performances, and really important that they managed to tie him up with a contract. But things are not the best for Red Bull, and I think that the car hasn't been that bad as you said, but still compared to the previous seasons, it's horrendous. And the thing is that Max, as I've said it a lot of times, he's the best driver talent-wise on the grid, which is why he manages to put this car on places where it shouldn't be. But for the second driver, it is obvious that the car is very hard to drive for them, and they haven't been performing really well also, which is a problem that Red Bull right now, they have the fourth fastest car in my opinion, and they were going to be far away from Ferrari and Mercedes even if it wasn't for Verstappen. Hadjar, I was pretty fascinated with him at the beginning of the season. You remember in my predictions, I said that he's going to be the worst rookie. He turned out to be the best rookie on the grid so far this season, in my opinion at least. And I'm not sure how he's going to pan out in Red Bull next year, but I hope for the best, because this team needs better car and two consistent, capable drivers. Because right now, I would repeat myself, but 9 points from two drivers, my mind cannot even comprehend it. So I think they would be putting all their eggs in the 2026 basket. And for the rest of the season, I think Verstappen may have one or two like lucky or one or two wins that are really hardly achieved. But I don't think that they're going to fight for anything more than, I don't know, third place in constructors, which is going to be really hard. And Verstappen is going to be third in the Drivers' Championship, far away from Lando and Oscar, far away from George or Charles. And yeah, we're waiting for 26.
I would say one really good positive is Max Verstappen has 5 pole positions against the McLarens, which I think shows optimism, and their radical setup strategies actually work on some tracks like at Monza or at Silverstone. Yeah, they're actually doing some good things even with a poor car. They're managing to compromise and do some good results. So kudos to them. We can move on now to the midfield and a team that has had a great season so far, mainly due to Alex Albon, but that is Williams sitting in 5th on the constructors still, although the others are starting to catch up. But Williams, yeah, very impressed, even though I think their car has fallen in pace. Still very good. Alex Albon, I think one of the drivers of the season, consistently in the points. I believe he has 4 top 5 finishes this season, which is unbelievable for a driver driving a midfield car in a car that was at the bottom of the field for so many years. Good to see from them. Carlos Sainz, though, a bit disappointed. I expected a lot of great things from him, and right now he is sitting in 18th in the driver's standings on only 16 points when your teammate has 70 and is outscoring a Mercedes driver. I think that's a bit of cause for concern for Williams fans.
Yeah, I mean, Carlos Sainz, really, the adaptation period took longer than expected. He is underperforming, but Alex Albon really deserves the credit. And Williams are actually finally back, looking like a pretty solid team. They're best of the rest, so good job to them.
Great work from Williams and especially from Alex Albon. I'm not too concerned about Sainz because next season I think he's going to look better in that car. He's going to adapt. And I think things are going to look better, but I'm really impressed with Alex Albon as he's sitting 7th, which comes to show us that there has been an improvement both in Williams and in Alex Albon, and I hope to see that continue during the next season because Williams are one of the most important teams in the history of F1, and I was sick and tired of seeing them finish 9th and 10th in the constructors and not being able to move from that 17th 18th of the drivers during races. So I hope that they would continue to improve.
Yeah. Credit to James Vowles as well, also done a great job. Moving on to Aston Martin, 6th in the championship. They started the season off quite poorly, but once, especially Fernando Alonso, started racking up points, they have been great, actually, very consistent with their points, and they even jumped Racing Bulls and Sauber, who they were behind for quite a long time. Interesting, I want to mention, Alonso is 16-0 against Lance Stroll in qualifyings, but Lance Stroll has outscored Fernando Alonso up until this point in the season. What is going on at Aston Martin? And Honestly, I'm impressed that Lance Stroll has this many points. I remember, as Harry mentioned, we listened to the predictions podcast, and we were thinking Lance Stroll could actually finish last in the championship, like less than 5 points. But now he's out here outscoring his two-time world champion teammate, and really, honestly, impressing. I'm kind of surprised by it. But what are your thoughts, guys?
I mean, yeah, Alonso had his unlucky moments, but he also had some poor performances in the beginning of the season. But Lance Stroll has impressed me, honestly, so we gotta give the credit to him.
And the start of the season was really good for Lance and really poor for Fernando. I think he had 2 DNFs at the beginning of the season, and after that he was not looking comfortable in the car, and I don't think he's looking that comfortable in that car right now. But at the end of the season, he's going to outscore Lance. But I think that the age is finally showing, and I think that Fernando, he's just no longer capable for the big game, and being outscored by Lance Stroll, I don't know. There are some troubles with him. He's still performing, but he's not the same Alonso.
Yeah, just wanted to point out that Alonso has 4 retirements to Stroll's 0, so there is also that effect. But also, like races like Hungary, Alonso was brilliant, so he still, I think, has that pace in him. Next on, we have Racing Bulls. Great, I think, fantastic season for them. Even though they're 7th, maybe they want to be a little higher. Isaac Hadjar, of course, podium, incredible result. He's been fantastic this year. Probably our surprise driver of the year. I don't think any of us expected him. And Liam Lawson, even with his reputation, I've been impressed with him, especially over the last few races, has been getting some good points finishes and racking up points for the team. I'm very impressed with them. I honestly think that they even have a better car than Red Bull. So if Hadjar went to Red Bull, that would be a disaster for him. I pray that doesn't happen. But I've been liking Racing Bulls this year generally.
I also like them and had her the surprise of the season for me. I am almost sure that they're going to finish above Aston Martin, because right now it is looking that Lawson and Hadjar are much better adapted to that car compared to Alonso and Stroll. But we'll see. But overall, great season for them.
Yeah, definitely unexpected performance from Hadjar. I remember how skeptical we all were about him. And it's interesting to see if Lawson's gonna stay after, but we're gonna discuss that at a later point. Let's move on to Sauber, who I think, I remember all of us said that they would be 10th and last, way behind the others. First, shout out to Nico Hülkenberg for finally getting that podium in Silverstone. I think all of us were happy. We enjoyed it. And Gabi Bortoleto as well. I mean, he has been really consistent the last few races. He has impressed me.
Yeah, I want to say that Nico Hülkenberg was fantastic up until that podium. Since that podium, though, he really just fell off completely, I feel like, especially in qualifying. He's quite terrible. Gabi Bortoleto has really picked up and really showing why he's a Formula 2 champion and Formula 3 champion. Really good driver. I'm glad that he's finally getting grips to that car, and I'm excited for him because he just keeps getting better and better and constantly starts to get into Q3. I've been very impressed with him.
Really nice for Gabi Bortoleto, because at the beginning of the season he was looking shaky, but after that things have improved, and I think next year we would see even better version of him. And congrats to Nico. I was so happy for this guy, because after a million races he managed to achieve that long wanted podium. And I think we can move on to Haas. Nothing special in my opinion from them. The Ocon has been alright, I guess. He's been pretty consistent. And with Oli Berman, I think I expected a bit more of him, but not that I can say that he's disappointing. It's just that the season has been pretty mediocre, I think, for Haas.
I think they started really good and they racked up some points at the start, but I feel like they've been outdeveloped and that's kind of put them behind. Although I will say Ollie Behrman in Zandvoort, fantastic race from the pit lane to P6. That was one of the highlights of the season for them. They're racking up points, but I don't think they'll be able to overhaul the others, especially not only they're behind on points, but they're behind on development as well. So
I don't think neither Sauber nor Haas are going to move from their positions. The same goes for Alpine. So I think that they're going to finish in that order: 10th Alpine, 9th Haas, and 8th Sauber. And the only interesting thing actually in that midfield is Aston Martin or Racing Bulls is going to finish 6th.
I agree, and as you mentioned Alpine, I think we can briefly discuss them. I mean, Yeah, it's Pierre Gasly doing the work, and the other driver, like in this case, two drivers, they're just there, but they don't deliver. Like Franco Colapinto, once again, crash prone, not delivering the points, not doing what they expect from him. Now with Flavio Briatore as well as team principal, things are not working for them.
Yeah, a shame for Pierre Gasly, who is still driving, I believe, at a very high level. It's just, I mean, 20 points and being last in the constructors is a bit of an anomaly, actually. 20 points, at least any year, would be like at least 8th place, but now it's dead last. Competition is very high in the midfield this year. But yeah, Alpine, not great. Their engine is still terrible as always, but from next year, they will have that Mercedes engine, so maybe that will change things.
Well, Pierre Gasly, I really like him. I hope that they would have better car next season because Pierre deserves it. And the other two drivers, not really good. And I don't know, is Colapinto under a contract for the next year? I don't think he is.
Probably not.
So I hope that they would bring somebody who is more capable, more interesting. Because if they have two people who are driving like Gasly, then Alpine can be a bit more competitive. And as David said, with Mercedes engine, we can see some interesting stuff from them. It is just that they need to move on from Colapinto.
And now we can move on to another segment, which is the news during the summer. So one of the hot news was Christian Horner's Red Bull exit. He was in this team for 20 years and like out of nowhere they decided to drop him. Vasco, what did you think?
Well, I'm actually a bit sad. Probably that was the right decision at the end of the day, as there were rumors about him not getting along, especially with Verstappen and some other troubles inside the team. But I got really nostalgic when I heard the news because Horner, even though there has been some bad moments, I think he has brought like the best for Red Bull, and he has been there since day one. And I don't know, maybe that was the right decision, but I think that Horner actually is a quite capable guy, and if the rumors are true that he can return as team principal to another team, then I'll be happy to see him there.
Christian Horner will definitely go down in history as one of the best team principals ever, but over the last 2 years, I feel like, I mean, if I can related to like American sports, he lost the locker room. Like I don't think anyone in the team was really on his side anymore, and that kind of run its course, especially with the loss of now the championships at this point. Yeah, it was a big move, but Laurent Mekies I think has been a good hire, obviously coming from Racing Bulls, and he's been doing, I think, actually pretty well so far. Even though he's only had a few races, I think he's a good and stable team principal for the future.
Other big news, one of them was Cadillac's driver lineup, which features two really known to us veterans, Valtteri Bottas and Checo Perez, and they decided to rely on experience. The rumors were that there would be one young driver, but they didn't do it that way. So what did you guys think?
Yeah, I was a little disappointed. Not that I don't think Perez and Bottas aren't capable drivers. They definitely are. One of the most experienced ones they could have gotten. But I would have liked to see a younger driver because these two drivers, they're just placeholders, not really people you can build on for the future. So I would have liked to see a younger guy, especially people from IndyCar. There are a lot of very talented drivers there, and I feel like they missed out. But still, I think these two drivers will be consistent with consistent with their performances based on the car. And yeah, they'll help develop the car as much as they can. But it's a good start.
I hope that we can see, let's say, Mark Webber and David Coulthard type of dynamic. But I think it is going to be more like they're going to be there for 2 seasons. And after that, if Cadillac are great, then they're going to be an attractive place for better drivers. But in general, I don't think that drivers lineup is the best, but I don't think it is the worst. So we'll see what is happening. And next thing, very important news for Bulgaria, that Nikola Tsolov is going to race for Campos in F2 next season, which is quite frankly, in my opinion, fascinating because really small country, but really talented guy. We wish him the best and we wish him lots of success. And one day we will be the proudest Bulgarians to ever live on that earth if we see him in an F1 car.
Yeah, first Bulgarian to ever make it to F2 as well, so big news for him. Congratulations. Great season in F3 this year, finished second in the championship. And yeah, we hope to see the best in F2 next year as well. Very excited for that.
Also, during the summer, we saw Stefano Domenicali make some statements about the sport's future, which really concerned some F1 fans. For example, like the ideas for a new sprint format and shorter races because the younger audience attention spans are dropping even lower. So, what did you guys think?
I think that Domenicali, although he's popularized F1, I think he's running the sport into the ground because this is like the dumbest thing ever. Shorter races will be better. Literally, sprints have never been interesting. Also, we actually had in Monza the shortest race in F1 history, fun fact, and it was not that interesting. Yeah, Domenicali is focusing on new fans for no reason whatsoever and just does not care about the hardcore fans who literally have built this sport up to where it is today. So he should stop. This is Bernie Eccleston 2.0, basically, in my opinion.
Definitely, I have nothing to add here because I like F1 the way it is now, probably with less sprint races or even none. But we'll see what is going to happen because we're not in charge of the future. And at the end of the day, we're still going to watch F1. But I hope that Domenicali is going to keep the spirit of the sport alive. And we can move to bold predictions for the next race in Baku, which is my bold prediction is that Charles Leclerc is going to get his first win of the season. I think that he's going to feel comfortable in that Baku race, and probably there is going to be some trouble with the McLaren car or something like that, but Charles is going to get his first win of the season.
My bold prediction is Lando Norris will not finish on the podium.
Okay, and my one is Sainz will get his best result of the season.
And I think that this is all for today from us, guys. We're looking forward to the next episode. Till then, like, subscribe, and follow us and AUBG Daily on Instagram and Facebook. And stay tuned for more of our content. Thank you, and remember,
If you no longer go for a gap that exists,
You're no longer a racing driver.